One of the questions I find increasingly hard to answer here in the States, apart from do I know a guy called Brian from a town called Middlesbrough that someone once visited, and the answer to that invariably is no, is my opinion on Liz Truss. And I struggle to kind of conjure up any enthusiasm about it, really, just because A, we don't get a say in it anyway, B, yes, she is the better of the two candidates, but C, this illusion of democracy at a national level seems so fragile right now. And I say that with particular attention to what's going on in Brazil, where Lula and Bolsonaro just duked it out in the first round. But a series of really strange things have gone on that are a direct parallel to what happened with Trump in America. And how can it be that national politics can have such direct parallels without some kind of global power being present in all of these matters? And there's a few specific examples that I'd like to give. Firstly, the presentation of the candidates, which, as one would expect from the mainstream media, is utterly bonkers. Same with Meloni in Italy, right? But so we have Lula. Oh, he's virtually, he virtually walks on water. He's from the left. He's going to save the planet, stop deforestation. And he was recently released as a prisoner, as if he was a political prisoner somehow, or a man that was falsely imprisoned, as opposed to his party being rife with allegations of corruption, even if those were later overturned. And Bolsonaro is given out as the epitome of darkness, the hub of evil, that is extreme right-wing. No mention of the fact that he was stabbed on his last election trail, nearly died, and yet still has the courage to run again. Then you have turnout at these rallies, which the media don't show. 2.3 million in the streets for Bolsonaro, chanting his name, glorious rallies, peaceful, flag-waving, exciting, just like the Trump rallies, and just like the majority of individuals actually at January the 6th, who had a peaceful rally and went home to get warm or have a wee and never knew anything about what went on at the Capitol building. The same again, Lula can't get anyone to show up, and yet somehow that man scored 48% of the vote. And then the same parallel with election reporting. DW reported boldly early on that Lula was surging ahead. According to exit polls, Lula surging. And then it turned out that at that moment when that tweet was posted, there weren't even any exit polls. This was from 0.1% of the vote counted, which in a place like Brazil is like a tiny raindrop in a massive ocean. But they didn't delete that tweet. Oh no, that was retweeted and retweeted as good news. Instead, they just issued a small correction, noting that actually there weren't any exit polls yet. And this was a figure that actually they just plucked from their arse. And actually Bolsonaro was doing rather well. And then the final parallel, which, how does this stuff get scripted, if not by some global coordination, was that the fear pushed out by the media was that if Bolsonaro's people didn't win, if Bolsonaro didn't get the win that he wanted, that there would be violence in the streets, that there would be riots, that you couldn't trust Bolsonaro voters to handle the result, already pushing forwards this notion that people might feel an election was stolen from them and they would return with violence, and that would be completely unfounded and unwarranted. This script running again, just as it did in America, but now in a different country. I mean, it is almost to the point of being unbelievable. And that's why I think democracy, as it stands, is at best an illusion, and much more likely just a tool of control. But it doesn't mean that there isn't hope, and it doesn't mean there's no point of me being on the road here, rallying the red ahead of the midterms, because all we need is the people's support for the sort of leaders that we need to be greater than the fraud and the voting fraud that's underway. Our fight for election integrity has to be greater than the forces of darkness trying to take it away. And that fight has to go on every single day. Bolsonaro now heads for the runoff. And I think we can all pray to God that he makes it through. because we have to continue to have faith that democracy is the answer, even if what we're presented with at present is an illusion or simply a tool of control. All the very best to Bolsonaro and to Republicans across America.